Hi, thank you so much for tuning in to the Road to Peace podcast. I am KJ navigating this road with you. I don't always have the answers. That's why I like to take other people on the road too. And I'm glad that you're here. Whether you are here looking for peace in one area of your life, it could be work that's chaotic, it could be family, it could be your pets, it could just be working on your own inner peace. We talk with other people who are here to support that. And today, joining me on the road to peace is the Minivan Mogul, who totally belongs on this show and will be steering us in the direction of more confidence.
Mm.
Alex Perry says, "You don't need permission to be confident." And in all that we do, confidence is a thread that weaves it all together. So much uncertainty in life. You need to be confident in you. So let's start first, Alex, with your little like, here I am, here's what I do, and here's how I'm going to bring you more peace.
Tall order, tall order. Okay, in a nutshell.
No
Thank you.
pressure.
No pressure. Okay, well, thank you. Thank you for having me on. Thank you creating this for people. I can't think of anything more noble than trying to help folks find peace, and especially now in the world that we live in. And so anything that I can do to help contribute on that mission, I'm excited to do. So I'm Alex Perry. I own a company called Practically Speaking, where I help people find confidence in their speaking skills. So that in the corporate world is presentations, public speaking, storytelling, and then as part of my own journey to find to do this, what I found was just my own struggles with confidence, the things that were holding me back in terms of confidence, and so I started blogging, started journaling, started talking about what it really takes to feel good about who you are as you are in the moment that you're in, because that's all you really get anyway, is this moment. So I created Minivan Mogul. And again, it started with a series of blogs. And then the blogs turned into a book, which turned into a Facebook group, which turned into a podcast, as we all know how these things go. And I really talk a lot about what it takes to feel good about who you are as you are in any given set of circumstances. And I created road rules for confidence that I encourage people to follow, because at the end of the day, like, I don't know how you feel, KJ, but when it comes to feeling at peace, that means first at peace with myself, let alone
Yes.
anything else, let alone the cats or whatever else you've got going on, the job, the family, you name it. I got to feel good in here before I can do anything else.
Oh, absolutely. And I think we find sometimes that we're trying to fix all the things outside, right? Because one, it's a little scary to look inward. But also because that's like what's impacting us, and we want to take care of what we love around us, that
Mhm.
we we're like, I got to get the cat to the vet, and I got to make sure that my husband knows that I support him as he's changed jobs, and I need to reach out to my sister who I haven't talked to in weeks, and like you're like, oh my god, I got to do all of this stuff, but none of it is any good if you're not going, hey, I need to I need to fuel up my own engine. So, and talking about confidence in particular, you have to have a lot of confidence to like put your stake in the ground and say, I'm the confidence girl.
Or, yeah, I guess.
I mean, like the things you're talking about, like you got started with your blog, and then it became the book, and then it became, but like, were you ever in doing those things going like, who am I? Because I think we have that imposter syndrome so much. Who am I to be the confident one in the room?
All the time. Ev like we it does go, and you hear it in an unkind way in your head. It's like, "Oh, you're just teaching what you most need to learn." But the truth is that you become an expert in the things, if you are a person that wants to improve. If you are somebody that wants to get better, you have to become an expert at the thing that you're most struggling with. And I was most struggling in my confidence. I was coming out of a career in healthcare where I was accomplished, where I had a network of people around me. People liked me. I supervised students. I had a great reputation. And I moved into the corporate world where nobody knew me. I worked for a boss that didn't particularly like me and wasn't all that kind. And it really brought me down. I mean, in a dark, dark place. My confidence was shot. I thought, I don't know how to do anything. It became paralyzing for me. And so to undo that and then become the confidence girl, I had to do the thing that I had to do the things that would build my own confidence and then be able to talk about it with other people. So I was doing it and teaching it, doing it and teaching it, and doing it and teaching it. And so the more you do that, the better you get at it. And I think that's what's really interesting about the work that you do too, KJ, is that you practice what you preach. So when I talk about confidence,
I try.
Yeah.
Woo!
We've all encountered those people who are like, here's my formula, do this thing and you'll get better. And you catch them in a moment where they're not practicing or they're not, they give the outward appearance that they never had to work on it. And
Yeah.
right. They give the outward appearance that this was never a struggle for them. And I'm like, oh no, if you have ever had imposter syndrome, come sit by me. Come sit by me. I'll tell you all about it. And I'll tell you how I work myself out of those moments. How do I stay in process of constantly building confidence?
And you built the Minivan Mogul out of your own fears and insecurities of showing up to places in the minivan and wanting to just hide and be like, who's gonna take me seriously, right?
Right. Like I drive a 2014 Sienna that has got like some scratches on it. It's got Cheetos under the seats. It is not clean or washed right now. It is not. And I took some hard knocks for that. Oh, manage your time better, invest in yourself better. But here's the thing, like my minivan, you don't know my full story. Like that's the van that we use to drive my family around. My parents can't drive. They are ill. They can't drive. So I drive them. I mean, they can drive, but they can't drive long distances. This is the van we take on family vacation. This is a thing. But I had deep embarrassment over it because we live in the county in which we live. It's affluent.
Mm-hmm.
It's affluent. And you turn left and there's a Lexus. You turn right, there's a BMW. And then you like look in the middle and there's me. And I'm like, hey, beep, like here I am.
Yeah.
But I had to own that because initially I made this transition into the corporate world and dang it, I was like, I need all these things. So this goes to the external. I need all these things, right? I better have a designer bag. I better have a designer purse. I better have my nails done. I better look perfect all the time because if I don't, I can't be successful. I'm never going to be whatever I viewed at that moment success was going to be. And that simply has not been true. That's not been true. And so but I had to get over that. I literally would park the van and go see a client and then try to not let the client see me walk out to the minivan because I was embarrassed.
Aww. And now you're like, everybody in the van.
Everybody
comes with Cheetos.
I drive a minivan. Like maybe someday, I've always said the Minivan Mogul moves on and mama buys a Lexus, but that's not that's not even a thing right now.
Yeah.
And what I drive doesn't define who I am. Neither does what I do. Neither does, right? Whatever you think is defining you in this moment is probably not, right? We are so much more. You know this.
Yes.
We are so much more than any given thing that we do or have. We're so much more than that.
What do you say to the person who's listening right now who's like, well, wow, she did it. So where do I start? How do I show, if I show up to work and I'm like, guess what? Surprise, everybody. I'm actually a hot mess. This is the real me. Deal with it. Like, or do and then they're going to be like, I was listening to the Road to Peace podcast and she said to show up who I really am and be confident about it. So deal with it.
No. Can we just say no? But I love that freaking question. That's amazing. Because first of all, I want to change something about that question. Did you say I did it? As though confidence is a place that we arrive. And it is not. It is a process. I am always in process of building and practicing confidence. So just like, you practice meditation, right? Like
Mhm.
you have to practice it. Confidence is the exact same way. So I am doing it. That does not mean that the road is always straight, that it doesn't have potholes, that I don't run into the jerk that cuts me off, and that I don't lose my mind and scream. It doesn't mean that I have arrived at some place that doesn't really exist. It means that I'm practicing it. I'm on the road and I'm driving and I'm doing my best to follow the rules and keep the minivan on the road. So I wanted to address that, and then to talk about, do you just show up at work like I'm a hot mess and now I'm in my PJs and my sports bra and take me as I am? No,
Okay.
actually, that's a really terrible idea. Because that's a terrible idea. Please don't do that. Please, I'm saying that now. If anything, like the one quote, please don't. There's a difference between being comfortable with who you are and also following what the social norms are. And if you really hate your culture, then maybe you ought to look at a different job. But I'm not here to give you career advice. But I am here to tell you that it does start here. And being comfortable is being willing to like where I start people is be willing to own a mistake. Don't hide it. Be willing to talk just a little bit, just an inch more openly with the people around you, because what you will find in most cases, not all cases, is that the people, like we're all human and we're all in the struggle and the mess together. And the more we talk about it, the less scary and overwhelming it becomes. So if you have not been yourself at work and you're trying to like white knuckle it and hold yourself together and like go in and have a conversation with your supervisor that says, "Hey, you know what? I have 3 cats, 2 of which were peed on my bed this morning. I barely got my hair brushed into a ponytail. I just need 5 minutes to collect myself before I get to work. Hey, things are messy in my house right now. I'm trying to homeschool 2 kids, or right, virtual school 2 kids,
Mhm.
all the things. I've got sick parents. I've got a husband, like you said, I've got a husband that's in job transition. So by the time I get here, I just need a minute to pull myself together. I'm going to get my work done and I'm going to do the things that I need to do, but I need to be real with you when you might see me make a face or I don't look as chipper or I've got something going on. It isn't that I'm unhappy here. It's that I'm trying to manage my life and this is what's going on."
Do you think after the last year or so and what we've gone through that we are kind of maybe moving the culture into a more accepting of you don't have to put on the face of I'm the professional and I have it all together. You could actually be a human being?
Yeah. I think there will be a continued push for business to become human. If you've ever heard of Rebecca Fleetwood Hession, she talks a lot about this, that business is human, that you need both aspects. So we need the professional aspect. We have to, measure and optimize and hold certain things, right? Process and procedure. We need
Mhm.
we can't operate without it. Like the last thing you want people to do is walk into the hospital and be like, like willy nilly, like, they'll probably be okay if I don't change their, cast today. No, you really do. Like you want people to be professional, but we want to treat people with humanity, which says, I recognize that you are not a machine. I recognize that having 95% productivity rates for a human being is absurd. Especially in like take a high needs area like healthcare. Like that's absurd.
Yeah.
95% of your time has to be engaged in something else. Like that's inhumane. We are not machines. So yeah, I firmly believe that and they already are. They're demanding it. We're demanding hybrid workplaces. We're demanding more flexibility in our schedules. We are demanding that people hear us and treat us equally. So, for us, that's being women of color, people on the spectrum, right? You name it, like pick every color and variation of the rainbow. Everyone is starting to speak out and saying, wait a second, like equality, humanity paired with like, if we would use the collective brain power that we all have, we can figure out process and procedure all day long. We're real good at it, but we need to
Oh,
work
yeah.
on the empathy and compassion piece for sure.
And when you talk about, we're talking about confidence in the workplace, I know that I have struggled with this and you have helped me with it. So I wanted to make sure that it makes it into the conversation today. You can be confident and not be perfect.
Perfect isn't a thing.
But how many of us do this, right? Like, it's like, I can't put that blog up yet. It's not quite right. I can't show my family this thing that I'm working on that I'm so passionate about because it's not done yet. Like, how does working on your inner confidence change that perspective? Is that something that you find when you're working with clients is that the confidence can make that need for perfection go, or at least simmer down a little bit?
Yes, when you can let go of perfection and procrastination. So a lot of times we'll procrastinate because we're afraid, like we want something to be perfect, so we keep putting it off. Right?
Yes.
Which is actually the opposite of what helps us. It helps us to address
Yeah.
and put it out there and to recognize that we're no longer in school, right? We're not in
Okay.
school anymore. So we're not getting graded on this per se. Now at work, you're going to get feedback and you're going to hopefully get some coaching and you're going to hopefully get some affirmation. But all of that information that you get on whatever you put out there is not, if you're in a decent workplace culture, it's not designed to hurt you. It's designed to help you get better. So if you continuously hold back the things that you want to show the world and you're not putting it out there for people to see and reflect and comment on, then you're not going to get into what I call the iterative process, or the process of doing things over and over and over and over again until they get better.
You're hurting my brain right now. I was the perfect A student.
Yes.
And I have never taken a moment to realize that I'm not getting graded
You're not getting
anymore
graded
until
on
like
anything.
right now. I'm like, wait a second. I have no GPA in life.
Oh my God.
This is blowing my mind.
You don't get a GPA for life. And if you did, don't you want it to be based on things that are more meaningful? More
Yes.
meaningful than whether or not your PowerPoint looked snazzy, or whether or not your podcast was perfect, or that blog you wrote didn't have a typo. Y'all, I start every single workshop I do, every talk I do almost with my native language is typo. You're bound to find one in something that I do. I will either speak typo directly and say something incorrectly, or you will find it in my writing. It's coming. And I'm not perfect, and we're not perfect. And if we give each other the grace, that opens up the door for the opportunities for us to make each other better. But good Lord, there's no such thing as perfect. There's not
And
a perfect human.
and that's what I like, your crash course in confidence. And when we were talking about doing this together, it's like the road to peace doesn't have an end point, right? Like we're going to pull over for gas and food and all the things that we need, but we're
Yes.
going to keep going. And that
Yes.
doesn't mean that where we started was a bad place. It was what we had to start with. And now we've picked up all of these little things along the way that are helping us have a
Yes.
little bit smoother.
And friends along the way. Think about, I mean, I know what it was like for me to meet you in the middle of COVID and how much connecting with you meant to me, how that boosted my confidence and me feeling good about who I was. I mean, I'd listened to you for ages. So I was like, oh, this is so cool. Connection with other people will help you build that confidence, which is so cool about what you have with your community, right?
Well, and I just want you to know that I was like fangirling over you. I was like, this girl's got it all together. She's like nailing it, like on LinkedIn. Like people look up to her. She's doing all the things. I wish I was like her. And then you're like, hey, would you like to get together sometime? I'm like, man, do I ever?
Can we play? Can we play?
Yes, yes. And I will tell you, I would like for you, while I am telling our viewers and listeners about the impact that you have had on me, I would love for you to maybe think about a moment, kind of I'm going to let you decide when, because I was going to say in the beginning, but I think sometimes when we're doing what we love and we figure out what we're confident in, and this is my purpose and this is what I'm doing, is that moment we want validation, right? There's never going to be a point where we don't want it. So a moment where someone said to you, thank you for what you're doing because it made a difference. And while you are thinking about that, I'm going to tell everybody that just last week I was in a bad place for about a month, like through the holidays. I think it was hard. I mean, everything's just a little bit harder right now, and you try to plan your schedule and somebody gets sick, and so things need to change, and it's not anybody's fault, but it just, lots of people were on vacation, so my drive to get things done was getting stalled, and it was just, it was a lot. But in the midst of all of this, and if you go back to tying into Paranormal Crossroad, which all 13 episodes are now available to binge watch for free on YouTube at paranormalcrossroad.com. The very first episode, one of the first things my mother said to me when she came through Spirit Medium Tiffany Rice was, how's your second book coming along? And I had 2 book ideas and had barely started on the first one and was still doing that thing. Like, it's not perfect. It's not, I need to do some more stuff. And so, a year later, I still hadn't finished the book. And Alex and I had a conversation last week, and really it kind of kicked me in the butt. And it was that, like, stop trying to be perfect and get it done and get it out there. And so I draft number 1, I know the book life is like, there's no, like, when you actually get it finished is very far from when you think you got it finished. So I know that I'm there, but draft 1 is done. And I did it in an afternoon.
Yep.
Like, when I said, good Lord, like, why do I still have this thing packed in the trunk? And every day I'm like, oh, I can't get that out yet. I can't get that out yet. And then in an afternoon, I was like, oh, well, that wasn't so bad. And now, Alex, this is breaking news. I have a call tomorrow with a publisher. Like that fast.
Send it to me. I just saw it in my mailbox. It's in my mailbox.
I know. I sent it to her too. So I hope that tomorrow she actually shows up for the call.
That does not sound confident.
Yeah,
when she shows up for the call, I am ready when she shows up for the call. And you never write a book that's finished, by the way. You only write a book that's done.
Okay. All right.
You only write a book that's done, because finished means you have nothing left to say. And woman, I've met you. You got more to say. So I finished Minivan Mogul. I can always go back. That's the other thing that people forget to tell you about writing a book is, like, have you ever noticed how many first, second, third editions there are of books? That's because people forget stuff because they're human.
Yeah. You know what? That is, and I needed, honestly, I needed to hear that. I'm so glad this podcast is really about helping me. You guys, if you get something out of it, it's great.
It's bringing me life today. Right? Oh my gosh. I'm so excited.
But, like, for real, part of the reason that I was struggling is because, and this is gonna sound so bad, but my book is really about, I'm playing around with titles and stuff, but it really is about the wisdom that I've gained from cats. And it sounds kind of cheesy, but, like, my life has.
Stop.
Yeah.
Can we rephrase that in a much more confident way, please?
Okay.
Go back and tell us about your book.
Okay.
Rephrase that. Not that so cheesy. How many people, like, no, you know what I'm go.
Okay. Yes. So my book is telling the travels on the road to peace and all of the different cats that have hopped on the road with me and taught me how to live a more peaceful life. And that is the truth. That's what they've done. But what was really, really hard for me was writing the chapters on my cats that are alive.
She's like, they're not bringing me as much peace right now.
And that was what was stopping me, is that, like, I like plowed through, like, it was just, I was in a rhythm and I knew what I was doing, and, sharing the story from, the very beginning, my first word was kitty cat. Like, I said kitty before I said mama or dada, and they didn't like me for it, and like the whole thing. But it was like, that was a driving force before I even remember it. Was I understood cat language better than I did human language. And the chapters where I'm writing about my, Princess Leia and Omar and all this, but their journeys were complete, right? Like I hate to say it, but they took an exit on the road to peace. And so like I can look back and be like, here's where here's where we started together, and here's where I ended up as a person when and some of them, like, it's very, very obvious there was the reason that they left when they did. Right. And so it made so much sense. And then I started writing about like poor Grayson, and I'm like, why can't I say such nice things about you in this like flow? And I stopped writing because I was like, well, you guys aren't helping me at all. But then, you know what I did last week? And I'll tell you this, Alex, and then we're going to get to your testimonial. When you and I talked, and I was like, all right, I got to get this book done. I just got to get it out of my head and stop putting so much pressure on myself to be perfect. And I did. And I finally wrote down exactly what was holding me up. This is really hard. There are lessons I have learned, but this is much harder to write because we're still telling these stories. The story is still happening. I don't exactly know. I don't want to think about the day that they say this is my exit. But when they do, it will have come full circle, and that chapter will make much more sense. But that doesn't mean that I haven't learned anything from them now. I have. So, you saying there can be second and third and fourth editions is like, okay.
Yeah,
I'm okay now.
that takes the pressure off because, right? So that's another thing that happens. We try to cram everything in.
Yeah.
Get it? Like, so again, taking this back to life in general, like we're going to get all of our stuff done. That's never going to happen. There's always going to be stuff, right? Like you're going to try to get everything you ever wanted in that book. No, you're not. That's not realistic. And so, and like, if you think about it, gosh, it just opens up a whole new world for you because you could write 10 books now. You could write a book on each cat if you wanted to, and that would be amazing.
Yeah, I know. I already thought I was having this guilt. I was having guilt because I didn't do a chapter on what I call poor Reggie, who I call him my practice cat, because he was the cat that I took from home and went out to be a grown adult. And that poor guy, like the amount of miscues I had in caring for him and things I just didn't know. Right. And so I was telling my husband, I'm like, I finished it, but I feel really bad because Reggie didn't get a chapter and he was my practice cat. And he's like, well, he probably gets his own book. Like, the practice cat deserves its own book.
That's hilarious. So first of all, it's just funny. And second of all, man, we can all relate to having to practice something.
Yeah.
The practice cat, the practice kid, the practice home, the practice husband, the practice whatever. Like, you went out with all the good intentions of the world. And I can joke about having a practice husband because I kind of had one, right? Like I too, right? Like I didn't get it right.
That was actually where it came from. My very first friend that got divorced. She didn't want to hate her husband. Like, I don't hate. Like, we just practiced, and now we'll be better people for the next one.
That's so true. If we can look at more of life and more of the things that we do as practice, it's not. There's very few moments in our lives that are the be all end all. Even right now, we're practicing. Yes. Right? You're practicing your messaging behind Road to Peace. I'm practicing the way I talk about confidence. And so if we recognize that, and it becomes more, at least for me, it becomes more fun because the pressure's off. Like I don't have to win a game. I don't have to, I'm not getting a promotion today. Maybe those scenarios come up.
I don't have a GPA to worry about.
Right? There's no GPA for life. We're not going to get, no one's going to grade you. You're not going to pass over to the other side. And like whatever is waiting, I'm pretty sure it's not someone with a clipboard going, I calculated. And if that's true, y'all can like find me in the other world and be like,
oh, won't that be an exciting episode of Paranormal Crossroad?
That'll be Something. Oh my gosh, I love this story about the book, and I'm so proud of you. I'm so
Thank
excited
you.
for you.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, that is my, I mean, that is my honest testimony. Just being in the same space with Alex, even if it is the virtual space, she has you do, you have sort of a natural gift to be like, just be confident. Like, let's just talk about what's real and let's fix it. Like you said, you went back like, no, let's rephrase that because we're not saying that. That's, not how you talk to yourself. So
Or
tell
about
me.
your work. Like,
I
you were
know.
so much more confident that second time. I can't wait for you to hear yourself because the way you talked about it, man, take pride.
I
Y'all, we
know.
work hard. I know everybody listening to this, whether you're a mama, a dad, I know, like, whatever you do, take pride in that because dang, you're working hard at it.
Yeah, that's right. Cat moms.
Come on, cat. Oh, I used to have cat.
Oh, the cat mom.
Mad respect. I mean, kitty litter on my
Dude,
toes, fur, and little kitty pukes everywhere. Yeah,
they were your practice cats
they
because
were my practice cats till I
I
got right, like till I got the
yeah,
dog, and then
I
yeah,
can, yeah, I can have, if you ever go back to a cat, well, my book will be out by then.
there we
So,
go. And I will read your book because I need help.
yeah.
I need help.
And if you ever get a cat, I'm gonna be like, oh no, 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 no. You're gonna we're
I feel like I need like kitty school first. Like you have to get the
yes, yes,
certification.
yes.
You're certified cat owner now. Like
The
you
crash
know
course in cats. Yes. Yes, ma'am.
confidence in cats.
All right. I want to hear, you've had time to think about it. I want to hear a meaningful story, that a moment where you went, you know what? This is my purpose. I'm doing the right thing. I'm on the road to peace.
Gosh, I've had a lot of them. And it's kind of hard to pick one.
I'm sorry, you only get one.
So it really just happened last Wednesday.
Wow. Oh, say this. I'm so glad because
Yeah,
that's why I was like, I don't want to say in the beginning because I think when
no, so
you're doing what you love,
I'm
these
doing what
stories keep coming, right?
yeah, well, that's the thing. So there've been stories throughout, but this one just came last Wednesday and it really touched me. I might get a little teary. So I had worked with a gentleman in 2019. I'd been hired by his company to coach him and coach him around his communication skills. And he was in a tough environment and he was a tough personality. He very readily admitted that his communication skills were not necessarily like the others and that he struggled, both at home and at work. And I would go into these sessions and we would have these they were very civil conversations, but they were hard, right? They were hard coaching conversations and me talking about things that he could really do that would improve his interactions with others. But that meant massive change on his part, which he wasn't necessarily comfortable with because he identified himself as someone. He's like, I don't do chit chat. That's not the way I operate. I want to climb a ladder. I want this, and so I would just keep coaching him. And I walked out of every session always glad to see him, but never 100% knowing if I had made an impact. And that was frustrating as heck as a coach. I didn't enjoy it at all because if I'm going to coach you, I want to know that it's helping. And if it's
Yeah.
not, I want to get the heck out of your way. I tell people that all the time. Like if this isn't working, then let's not force it because I'm not for everybody. And the way I do things isn't for everybody. But we went through the whole process, coached him, got done, thought he was doing okay in his current role, found out later that he didn't, he left. And I remember just feeling like, dang it, I didn't win
Mm,
that one, right? Like I really wanted to see things where he was work. And I wanted him to walk away feeling like a better communicator and that he was making an impact. And this was in 2019. So flash forward to last
mhm.
Wednesday, I get a text that's this long
Oh.
from him. And he's like, I don't know if you remember me or not, but here's the scenario in which you coached me. And I just wanted to tell you all the different ways that you impacted me and how it's impacted me in my new role. And he went through and bullet pointed, I don't know, 6 ways that not only that it
Wow.
impacted him, but that how it was impacting his new team, how he was using what he'd learned from me to coach other people, and that how he'd used it at home and his communication with his wife was better.
Oh, that's so
And I was
cool.
so
Oh,
overwhelmed. And I don't know how you all are when you get overwhelmed, but sometimes I get overwhelmed. And I got that text and I immediately like shoved my phone away and didn't respond. I was like,
yes.
it's
Oh, I got
I
so
was
many feelings. Yeah.
so it's a lot of feelings. It's a lot
Yeah.
of feelings. And I have a lot of feelings. I'm very effusive. They come out everywhere. But then I was like, I talk for a living. I have nothing to say. And so I sat on it for a couple days and then I reached back out to him and I was just so blown away that something I had done that long ago, even thinking about like I'm a better coach now than I was then, like that it had that kind of impact.
Yeah. And
And
how meaningful that he was like, I need to reach out and tell her that. And I think we need to do more of that,
oh,
it's just so important that even if it's a little thing. I mean, one of the biggest impacts I made on the Smiley Morning Show that I'll never forget is this guy came up to me one day and he said, I loved listening to you on the Smiley Morning Show so much, but my absolute favorite morning, and I can barely even say it out loud without cracking up, is the morning that you walked into the studio mad because someone was making oatmeal that smelled like pancakes, and you screamed over the air, "Oatmeal can go to hell!" And I'm like, I honestly don't really even like I vaguely remember it, but he was like, when I am having a rough time, like I'll like walk through the break room and someone's making oatmeal and I just start laughing because I think oatmeal can go to
and go
hell.
to oh, I love that story so much.
Right, but I was, like, so happy, like, my gosh, like, over the years, the hours and hours that we
Mhm.
talked and never knowing because that radio life is, if the phones aren't ringing, you don't know if what you're saying is making any kinda impact, whether it's the requestathon that I did and trying to reach people to, change lives or just making that guy laugh because he's having a bad day at work, but if he walks through the break room he sees the oatmeal and he thinks oatmeal can go to hell.
That just it's so true. I love that. And now every time I eat oatmeal, I'm never gonna be the same.
Yeah.
I'm never gonna be the same about
I
oatmeal.
do I do get really mad. Like I tried because people are always like, it is healthy, right? Like I should want to eat oatmeal, right? But then you're like, oh, this is the one that is like pancakes, and this is the apple cinnamon one. And I'm like, no, it's all just tastes like cardboard. I'm sorry,
Oh,
it's
no, you can't.
gross. Like, no, you can't. Yeah,
It's like trying to tell me cauliflower is rice. It's not. It's
it's not.
fine. It's fine as it
Mhm.
is. Like, I can eat the little chopped up cauliflower, but it's not
Yes.
rice. It's
Yes.
not rice. I know
Yeah.
what rice is. I've been eating it my whole life.
Oh
Okay.
my gosh. The amount of things that I eat made from cauliflower now, when I like used to talk so much crap about cauliflower because it's still in its like regular form. When you go to a veggie tray, you're like,
Not eating that.
who did this?
Yes,
This is a
styrofoam. Why did you
yeah,
put styrofoam in the tray?
yeah, yeah. And now I'm like, oh, I need to reduce my carbs. So how about some cauliflower tater tots and some cauliflower rice and some cauliflower pizza crust and
Mashed potatoes. Have you done cauliflower mashed potatoes?
yes, I have.
So good.
Yeah,
That
yes,
is good, but it's
it
not mashed
is,
potatoes. It's
but
not
it's
mashed
not mashed potatoes. No, it's
call it
not.
what it is. Let
No.
cauliflower have its glory because it certainly
Le
doesn't get it in the veggie
and
tray.
legit, because if you think about where cauliflower was, if it didn't have the confidence to continue on its own road to peace, where would we be? All of us trying to cut carbs, okay? Cauliflower didn't give up, so I need you to not give up either, all right? It was like bottom of the barrel garbage,
Oh my
discarded.
god.
And now look at it. It's cauliflower reigns supreme. Okay. No matter where you're at in life, someday you too can be cauliflower.
I have nothing else to say. What was it when we first met that I told you? Something about, like, Burger King, you're better than Burger King.
Yes. I'm better than a Whopper. I don't remember why I was mad and like
I remember
frustrated.
that.
And I was comparing my life somehow to like
To more,
cheeseburgers.
like,
And
to
but
like
yeah. And I was like, I guess I'm just the Whopper. Like
It's like, no, you're not. You're better than a Whopper. Now you're like, you're on cauliflower level.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
Like you're
man.
so versatile and you're so we can add
Oh,
stuff to you and you take it. Like you're resilient.
oh, man. I'm
It's
gonna,
hilarious.
man, I'm gonna really just give thanks to my cauliflower that's all sitting in the freezer downstairs tonight when I get to choose which cauliflower thing I'm having. I'll be like, you're all greatness.
Oh,
I'm
great.
so proud of all of you,
Cauliflower in
cauliflower.
a different way. You're just
You did
different.
it.
You
You did
own
it.
yourself. Own yourself.
I want you to have as much confidence as cauliflower has. Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Okay.
So, for those of you listening, pswithalex.com is the website. Alex Perry wants you to know you do not need permission to be confident. And if you are looking for someone to help you on your road to peace, if confidence is something that you struggle with, I highly recommend that you reach out and make Alex your go-to person for confidence, as I have. And someday
Thanks, KJ.
we'll share Cheetos and cauliflower, and we'll all just be so confident and wonderful in the
Yeah.
minivan
In the
on the
minivan
road to peace.
on the road to peace. We did it.
Yeah.